Today's readings tell us about the importance of God's law in our lives. Both Moses in the Old Testament and Jesus in the Gospel emphasize that God, in his loving care for us, has given us the law to assist us in living fruitful lives with others, but also to guide us toward the fullness of life in his kingdom. But when we think about the law and we look at these readings, we realize that it isn't just a personal, private observance of the law that's important, but rather it's also a matter of giving example, helping others to see the importance of faith and God's presence in our personal lives, in every aspect of our lives. We have a responsibility to pass the law on to others, and we see that at the end of the first reading from Deuteronomy, in a rather easily overlooked verse that tells us, through Moses, that we should not only remember the things that God has taught us, but, quote, teach them to your children and to your children's children. When we hear that passage, we probably immediately think of religious education programs that we offer in our parishes, but it's so much more than that. Personal witness has so much more emphasis and so much more meaning to young people as they look to us for example. So often today, people make religion a very private part of their lives. They don't talk about religious issues in public, or they don't really show their prayer life except possibly when they're in church. Just as an example, when I was a young boy growing up, I remember visiting my grandmother and seeing her sitting in her chair by the window with her prayer book, saying her prayers in the afternoon. Or I remember stopping by neighbor's house where a retired couple would be saying the rosary together in their living room. I also remember that it was common as a child to go into homes and see a crucifix or other religious art on the wall, and immediately you knew that it was a Catholic home. Today, these incidences are far less frequent, and I fear that our children only see faith in the context of the church building, and they don't see faith that is lived every day at home and in every situation. During this Lent, we're called to renew our lives, to strengthen our faith. And while it's important to consider how we can personally grow in faith, I think we also have a responsibility to consider the example that we give, the witness to our faith, and consider how we can make that more evident, especially to our children. Perhaps having a Bible in the home and at times taking the opportunity to read a passage and to show children how to read the Bible. Or perhaps remembering every night to say a simple prayer with children before they go to bed, an Our Father, a Hail Mary, prayers that we take for granted, but many children haven't really learned. And so during this Lenten season, let us truly make it our effort, not only to grow in faith personally, but to help others to grow in faith as well through our example and our witness to God's importance in our lives.